Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the International Communications Filing System Schedule B demo. I'm Jacob. I am with the development team for this project, but I do want to um, give Kathleen a chance to introduce herself. Kathleen is our point person with the FCC. So you can go ahead, Kathleen.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Campbell. Some of you probably know me. I am in charge right now of ICFS. I retire at the end of August, and then Adrian McNeil, who's also on the call, will be taking over as the person in charge of ICFS. So you know that. We welcome you and hope you get some great knowledge from our demo today. If you have questions during the demo, please feel free to type them into chat and during the Q&A periods or by replying in the chat. We'll answer them the best of our ability. Those we can't, we'll follow up afterwards. Jacob's going to get to a slide where it says how to comment. He talks a little bit about asking questions. We're not unmuting, so it's just written questions in the chat or sent to the ICFS demo at fcc.gov mailbox. So I'll turn it back over. Oh, one more thing. These are being recorded, so they're going to be posted on the FCC's YouTube channel and in several places in the commission, on the commission's website, that you'll be able to revisit these when you want or share them with colleagues or whatever. All right, back to you, Jacob.
Yep, and as Kathleen was saying, I'm going to read through a couple of statements here. So there's a statement on recording. This user demonstration will be recorded for future training usage. By attending, you agree to be recorded. If you prefer not to ask a question during the QA periods, you may make use of the meeting chat. I think most of you are muted anyway, so. And as Kathleen was saying, um, it says, please hold your questions until the question and answer portions of the meeting so that we can get through all of the meeting content. And you are free to utilize the meeting chat to ask any questions at any time. And additionally, you may email your questions after the meeting to this email address right here, icfsdemo@fcc.gov. Now for our overview, so we are going to be demoing for this session the Schedule B, which is an extension really of the Satellite Earth Station Form 312, which I did a demo of at 10 a.m. Today. So I will be skipping over some of the general user interface information that I presented in that demo, but we will have a recording of that demo available that you can refer to for general information about your user interface when you log into the application. So, nevertheless, I will give a brief overview of the ICFS system. So the International Communications Filing System is the official electronic licensing and filing system for the Federal Communications Space Bureau and Office of International Affairs. And each ICFS subsystem has multiple filing request types, and each filing request type requires one or more completed forms. So today we are going over a portion of the Satellite Earth Station's subsystem, and we are going to be covering a very crucial form in that subsystem, the Schedule B. And the Schedule B comes with most of the Satellite Earth Station's forms, as I specified in the previous demo. So I'm going to get right to the demo of the Schedule B, actually, and the first thing I'm going to show you is how it interacts with the Form 312. So how selections that you make on the Form 312 affect what you see in the Schedule B. I'll be going over the different form fields and sections in the Schedule B. I'll be going over saving, reviewing, and submitting the form. And once we have submitted the Schedule B, I'm going to be able to demo for you submitting the general Form 312, which is attached to the Schedule B, which is also known as the Satellite Earth Stations form. So with that, I will go right into the demo, and I'm going to log in to my ICFS account as if I were an external user. So the first thing I'm going to do is put in the ICFS URL, and this is going to change once the application goes live. And I'm going to go straight to logging in. And I'm going to select my course username. We've been redirected to the course login page here. So I'm going to select the username I've set up in course. And I'm going to enter my course password. And here I am at my ICFS homepage. Now, as I showed in the previous demo, any application drafts or already submitted applications are going to appear for you under your My Filings. So I have already here a draft version of a Schedule S, a Satellite Earth Station form that I will be using to demo the Schedule B for you. So let's go into that form. All right, here we are on our Form 312. So there's a couple of fields on the Form 312 that will affect what you see on the Schedule B. So firstly, there's this class of station field. Now here you're going to specify some information about your Earth station. So whether it is a fixed Earth station, whether it is an Earth station in motion, whether there is only one Earth station for which you are seeking a license, or multiple Earth stations, etc. So if you are selecting A or B here, that is, if you are specifying that your Earth station is a fixed location Earth station or Earth stations, then there's a couple of extra fields you'll have to fill out on the Schedule B. So those are related to the location of your Earth stations. So there's a site details section where you can enter the exact latitude and longitude coordinates of your Earth stations, and also I think a city, state, and nation fields that you have to enter as well. And also, this field right here, the type of Earth station, can also affect what you see on the Schedule B form. So if you select one of these values, transmit only or transmit and receive, there will be some extra fields appended to the antenna section, where you specify the power of your transmit beam and a couple of other items of information. Whereas if you're selecting a receive only station, then you don't need to specify that. And I will show you what this looks like once we get into the Schedule B, which is right now. So when you save a Form 312 Satellite Earth Stations form, automatically this edit Schedule B button appears, and this is what will allow you to navigate into your Schedule B form. So let's go into it. Should be fine. Okay, so I already have some information filled out for this particular Schedule B. Um, but up here we have our sites button, and you can use this to add as many sites as you want. So in the case that you are applying for an Earth station with multiple sites, um, then you can enter as many sites as you want here. So as we move down the form, the first field we see is the site identifier field. And you can use this, really it's just an application label. It doesn't really matter what you put in here. Um, and we have the site contact information. So you will always have to enter the contact name and the contact phone number. And these fields are only going to apply to fixed location Earth stations, right? And these fields also are only going to apply to fixed location Earth stations. If you select a non-fixed location um, Earth station, like a mobile Earth station, as your type of Earth station, then the fields you'll see on here won't include these location fields. If you select other as your type of station, they will appear here, but they will be optional. Um, so, uh, however, since we have selected a fixed location as our type of Earth station, we will have to supply our longitude and latitude coordinates. And we have a Google Maps integration here. So as you are entering your coordinates in, it will actually show you where on the map you are, and it will tell you the location and everything. So yeah, that's kind of cool. And you're also going to specify right here your geographic coordinate system. We have two options. Well, we have three options: NAD 27, NAD 83, and NA. And you can also specify your site elevation here, although it is an optional field. And our next section is the certification details section. So the first question is, if the proposed antennas operate in the fixed satellite service with geostationary satellites, does the proposed antenna or antennas comply with the antenna gain pattern specified in section 25.209A and B of the FCC rules as demonstrated by the manufacturer's qualification measurement? And if the answer is no, you have to provide a technical analysis showing compliance with 2-degree spacing policy. So if we answer yes, we're not going to see any warning message here. If you answer no, it's just going to remind you to attach this technical analysis. And the next question in the certification section, if the proposed antennas do not operate in the fixed satellite service, or if they operate in the fixed satellite service with non-geostationary satellites, does the proposed antenna or antennas comply with the antenna gain pattern specified in section 25.209A and B as demonstrated by the manufacturer's qualification measurement? So, and if you answer, I think, okay. Yeah, you don't actually have to add any attachments, regardless of which answer you supply for this question. And it's going to ask you if frequency coordination is required. If you answer yes, you also must attach a file explaining that. And if coordination with another country is required, then you must also attach a file explaining that as well. And you can refer to the application instructions for more details on how to format these exhibit files. So I think There's no instruction link on the Schedule B, but Schedule B instructions are included in the general Form 312 instructions. So there will be a link on, there will be an instructions link, sorry, on the attached Form 312. Right, and if FAA notification is required, there's a similar story. You have to supply an attachment to explain that. The next question asks you if the facility is operated by remote control. If the answer is yes, there's a whole bunch of information you have to supply about that remote control facility. So you need to specify the call sign of the remote control facility, and that will be included in the system. All of that information should be migrated over to the ICFS system by the time of go live. So whatever call sign you supply here should be available. And you must also specify the contact information. So like the phone number and where your remote control facility is. Down here, we have our points of communication section. So basically, any satellites that your Earth station is going to be communicating with, actually, any non-US licensed satellites with which the Earth station will communicate, you're going to list here. And you may select new or other if you do not see your satellite option here. So when you're adding a point of communication, you're going to click on the point of communication button, and you're going to select a satellite, and a list of all the satellites that is kept up to date periodically is included in the system. So they will be presented here as options for you. And you are going to specify which satellite or satellites your Earth station is going to be communicating with. And when you make a selection and save the form, all of the information here is going to be auto-populated. So the common name, the ITU name, the orbit location, and also the country is going to be supplied here. There's an optional destination points field where you can specify the basically any countries outside of the US where services will be provided by this Earth station via a non-US licensed satellite system. And I want to, before we get into the antenna section, just stop real quick and allow any questions that have been placed in chat to be answered by Kathleen, if there are any.
There are a couple, and I was just verifying something before I answered one of them. Well, and I'll expand on the other. WGS 84, we know people wanted it. Somehow or other didn't get put into the criteria for the stories, and we have it as a future enhancement. So we apologize for that, but it'll eventually get there. The other question was about how to attach things when you on the Schedule B. When you answer a question that requires an attachment with the correct answer to get an attachment, there's a place to select and upload a file. So it doesn't show when you first look at it, but when you answer the question, this is an interactive form, so it pops up if you need it and it goes away if you don't. So I think that answers that question.
Yes, and you can always supply attachments using this attachment button down here.
Right, you can do it either way.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. I hadn't scrolled all the way down. Kimberly asks, are we now able to go back and delete the site and location and satellite after the draft is saved? Yes, you can. You should be able to anyway. Maybe not.
Yes.
How do we delete them? I know we can do it on the lists of frequencies and all that kind of stuff. How do we delete the sites?
That's a good question. I know obviously you can overwrite what you've already written for a satellite, but for a space for a site. But when it comes to deleting a site, I think I would have to look into that a little bit.
We'll have to experiment with that.
Yeah.
We had asked for that. I don't know. I know it did it on all the subsections of this. So when you put all the information in and you go down and then you do antennas and frequencies and all of that, there's a whole list of them underneath each of the tabs and there's a delete option. I don't know what this looks like when there's more than one site. I think it just gets more than one tab. So we'll have to look into it.
Okay. If that was all the questions, I'm going to.
Yeah, see, like under points of communication, there's a trash box.
Yeah,
if you
this
decide
one
you
right
don't want it, you can delete it.
Oh,
there it is. I knew that.
there it is.
I know we asked for it. There it
There
is.
you
We
go.
found it.
All right. Glad we could answer that. So, I'm going to now, I guess, proceed to our antenna section. So here you're going to provide information about all of the antennas your Earth station is using. You have the option to add as many antennas as you like here. So let me just give you an overview of the basic structure of the form. So there's going to be two tabs under each of your antenna forms. There's going to be the basic tab and the frequency bands tab. And here you can specify all of the frequency bands that your antenna is going to be using. It might be one, it might be more than one. And when you are specifying a frequency band, you're going to specify the lower bound and the upper bound. I have it set to 1 to 100,000 for testing purposes. Excuse me. You specify your direction of transmission for the frequency band. So whether you're using it for Earth to space communication or space to Earth. And then we have our operating particulars form here. And you can also add more than one operating particular for each frequency band. Here you're going to enter your emission designator value. So for this, there is a very specific format required by this field. So you're going to specify, I think, a number followed by the symbol for kilohertz, a number followed by the symbol for gigahertz, and a number followed by the symbol for, I think that's wattage. I'm not totally sure. I guess the satellite engineers here would know better than me. But yeah, this is the general format though. And you can specify your polarization right here. And also your maximum EIRP per carrier. So this field right here is calculated off of a combination of this field and this field. So if I enter a different thing in this field, should give me a different number. Might take some.
I think that's
So,
a
yeah.
defect. I think that's a defect on our Schedule B defect list.
Okay.
But
yeah.
that's what it's going to do. It's going to calculate.
It's going to calculate, yeah. And you are actually able to enter a number less than the calculated value. But you cannot enter a number more than the calculated value, otherwise it's going to throw an error at you. But if you feel that this should be lower, then you are free to do that. Obviously, y'all would know better than me about when to do that. If you specify other on this field, you're going to enter your other option right here. And you can, in this field, enter a more detailed description of your modulation and services. And I'm going to move on now to the satellite coordinations tab. So down here, you're going to specify some information about the satellites with which you are going to be communicating using this particular operating frequency. And if it is a geostationary satellite, this range of satellite arc eastern limit and range of satellite arc western limit, and then these two fields, the hemisphere fields, are going to be available to fill out. If it's non-geostationary, they won't appear. And if it's geostationary, these two fields, antenna elevation angle eastern limit and western limit, are going to be calculated based off of what you enter here. So if I kind of empty these fields out first, yeah, you can see that it's the moment I click away, it's already calculating those values. And you do also have the ability to edit these if you feel the need to do so. And here we have our Earth station azimuth angle eastern limit field and Earth station azimuth west angle western limit field. And then you can also specify your maximum EIRP density toward the horizon. I'm sure all of that means something, but I'm no satellite engineer again. And let me go over the basics tab here. So the first thing you're going to specify for the basic antenna information is your antenna ID, the number of antennas, and the manufacturer and model of your antennas. These are all required fields. And you're also going to specify some information about the size and power of your antennas, depending on, of course, what you entered into your Form 312. So you're going to enter the diameter of the antenna, and this number cannot be greater than 99. So if I enter 100 in here, it's going to throw an error at me. The minor axes and major axes, and the maximum antenna height above ground level and above sea level, the building height above ground level, and the maximum antenna height above rooftop. And lastly, we have our antenna gain section. And yes, we have come to the end of the Schedule B, and we filled everything out. Now, the next step will be to review our Schedule B. And I'm going to select no here, actually. I'm going to leave a field blank on purpose that is required, just to demonstrate what it looks like when the review page is flagging an error. So I'm going to save it right now. And when I open this review page, It's going to, it's showing me a lot of errors because I have a empty site. Let me delete that first so that we can focus in on. Okay. Now I'm going to save it again, and we should have a lot less errors. All right. Okay, so it says we currently have 2 errors. So we left the phone number blank right there. And we also left polarization other blank. So we've got to go back to our form and fix those 2 issues. Just put that phone number in there. Oh, sorry. Won't let me put in a single repeated value. Do that. Okay. And let's go to our frequency bands information and let's specify our polarization other and save the form. Now when we refresh this review page, there should be no errors. And there are none. All right. We definitely want to make sure that we review everything thoroughly before we submit, because once we submit, we can't come back in here and modify any of the information unless we submit an amendment. And that has to go through an approval process first by the FCC in order for those changes to be applied. So yeah, we definitely want to carefully review everything before we submit. And we also have the ability to download a PDF of our entries right here. And a PDF will also be available of the Schedule B after we submit. But I think I'm satisfied with what I entered. So I'm going to go ahead and click Submit. All right, and now, as you can see, the edit button has disappeared, and all we can really do is go back to our Form 312. So that's what I'm going to do here. And so now that we have submitted our Schedule B, once we have filled all the required fields on the Form 312, we should be able to submit it. So let me go ahead and attach a file. I think you do need to attach at least one file in order to submit these. So I'm going to save it now. Okay.
Did you answer all the questions
Yes.
on the 312?
I think I did actually. Let's see here. That's interesting. It really shouldn't be taking me back to the review page here. Okay, maybe something went wrong with our submission process. Okay. So, all right.
Change to schedule.
Yeah.
Active.
Okay. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, so as you can see, I've submitted the Schedule B. So that should gray everything out once you've done that. And you shouldn't be able to edit anything else. And there will be a button that you can click that will take you back to the Form 312. And looks like our review to submit button should really show up after you do that. But it's not. And I apologize. Okay. It showed up for a second and then it was gone. Yeah. Okay, that's weird. Okay, this looks like a defect that we will have to look into.
Okay, so stop a minute.
Okay.
Answer no to 22B.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, now we're gonna save. Oh, now it appears. Okay.
Yeah, because it's expecting a Schedule S too.
Yeah, that's right.
When you answer that yes, it's expecting a Schedule S, and you only did the Schedule B.
Correct, correct. Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting though. Okay. But yes, what should happen when you submit a Schedule B is that those fields are grayed out. Okay. And you can go back to the Form 312 and submit that. So when I click review to submit, and it's actually going to give me a read-only view of my application, and actually let me go ahead and delete a required field here just to show you what it looks like on the review to submit page when we have fields missing that are required. Let's just do the basic description. Okay. So I just save that, and if I go to the review to submit page, or if I click review to submit, it will tell me that some fields are in. And right, and by the way, the fields which are incomplete, we leave them on. They should appear at the bottom of the form. See right here. And if you click on the label of one, it will take you directly to that field. All right. Now I'm going to save that. And we will click review to submit. And we're going to go ahead and submit our application. Right. And we get our submit confirmation message. And you can click on this to go to your application summary page. And by the way, this is where you're going to get the call sign that has been generated for your application. This is definitely something you want to keep in your records. And we also have the file number right here. That's also very, very important. And you have the Schedule B attached under filing documents. You'll be able to go to the HTML of your Schedule B, and here you'll be able to look over this information again, and also download your PDF as well. Right here. Okay. So you can see right here, this is what your generated PDF looks like.
And it's so pretty. I would just print the page.
All right. So I think for now, one more thing I do want to show you. To find it in your My Filings, it would be under pending payments, since we specified a payment. If you're payment exempt and you don't specify a payment, it will go straight to pending review. But it will appear under your pending payments list after you submit it.
Okay, there's a couple of questions, but while you're here, why don't you show them how the action to pay your fee?
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Yeah. So, I was going to actually go through this in the part two of the SCS OIC demo, but we can go through
I
it
know,
now
but
as well.
I know because the question came up and we have time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
So what you can do is um, select your applications right here, and you should be able to click send to course.
yeah, there's a go to course button down the right hand side.
Okay.
Oh no, there isn't. It should be able to send to course.
Yeah. So
Why is that not working? I thought it was working before.
yes, we had it up and working before, but um, something appears to have gone wrong. So
What's the below part? The go to course part?
the go to course part is just going to take you to the course login page.
Select applications to send.
So yeah, we select
But
the
no,
application.
but what does it say? The top one is you select them. At the bottom
So
is okay. So if you had sent them to Coors and you hadn't paid yet, so the bottom will show a list of those in Coors waiting to be paid. So that's
correct.
where that go to Coors button is for this bottom half. The send to Coors should be sending data like the IB submission ID and the FRN and all that are supposed to be sent. So it looks like we have a little defect here that we need to fix. But that send to Coors button is where you go to pay.
Correct. Yes. So um, uh, basically, when you send these applications to course, you'll be able the fee payment information in course will be associated with whatever you entered as the applicant FRN. So whoever has that applicant FRN, they will be able to log into course and they will see that course payment information in their course account. And from there, they'll be able to initiate a payment, and that payment will go through kind of, I guess, a review process on the course side. And when it is accepted, the application's status will be updated on the ICFS side. Um,
Yeah, much like it is now, and
yes.
better because right now that's broken for us. Okay, so there's a couple of more questions here. Thank you, Jacob. That have to do with Schedule B and the submit and submitting before the Form 312 is filed. A series of questions. So let me tell you how that works. It has to be submitted to be attached to the Form 312. You wouldn't want to submit the Schedule B until you're all done. Like the day you're going to file it, submit the Schedule B, then submit the Form 312 that has the form and the Schedule B attached. You won't be able to submit the Form 312 until you do the Schedule B. We can come up with a solution for future development of being able to undo that submit the form the Schedule B. We'll figure that out. But right now what you do is you fill it out, just leave it there as a draft until you're finished everything you need to do. And then when you go to file your application, submit the Schedule B to the Form 312 and then submit the Form 312 with its Schedule B to ICFS. And Jonathan, that's the same kind of thing as the Schedule S. It has the submit. It's not a separate system like it is now. You don't have to go log into some Schedule S software. It's all pulled together and directs you around ServiceNow to get it. But there's a submit button in the Schedule S as well. And so you have to submit the schedules to be attached to the forms before you submit the forms. No, Lori, that's not what I was saying. Are you saying that you submit Schedule B, then the main form, then both forms again? No, you only have to do it once. Once you submit the Schedule B, it's attached to the Form 312. And then you submit the Form 312 with the attached Schedule B, and that's the end of it. You get your confirmation page and off you go. Just don't, for now, submit your Schedule B unless you know you're done with it. Could you show me my filings, please, Jacob, so I can answer Renee's question?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a difference between state and status. State is the state of the application. Which is draft, current, pending review, pending payment, pending consummation. There's specific states that tell the system what to do with them. The status is things like accepted for filing public notice, action taken public notice, all those kinds of things. There's a whole lot of statuses, and there's only a handful of states, and the application state is what is here. So that's what that is. Can you see both in your drafts, or are they separate? So see, if you look up at the drafts and there's a file number and it says test, and then you scroll your eyes over and there's the Schedule B, you can open up just the Schedule B. So they're on the same line, but it's not one single document. It's still two separate things. Does that make sense? So they're separate drafts to view, would be the bottom line answer. They're not separate lines in the drafts, they're all together, but you can only view one at a time. Or you open up the 312 and then you click the Schedule B button in there. You still have to click the B to see the B. Okay. No, Denise, they are not. You have to print each of them by themselves, unfortunately. So on the top of the Form 312, there's a print form button, and it'll print the form. It'll look very similar to what the form you filled out looked like. Then the Schedule B will look like that monstrosity you saw. Unless you do what I do and print the page, but I'm not sure how well that'll work. But at some point in the future, we'll fix those too, because that's not what we wanted. Okay, we have anything else? Okay, well, next Friday, we're going to talk about all the, what I call sub-applications, like the mods and the amendments and transfers, so that you can see how those work. And review any questions you have about either of those things going forward. Feel free to send us an email after the fact if you come up with more questions. Thanks for coming. Are we done, Jacob? That was the end, right?
Yep, that was it.
Okay.